Good morning, everyone. We'll get started in just a minute while people continue to enter the room.
Jerry, Dwayne Burks just came in. Do you hear me, Jerry? Okay.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good. We're going to get started in just a minute, Mr. Dwayne.
All right. Good deal.
Well, good morning and welcome to our August Community Cafe. Today's topic will be wellness. We welcome you to put questions in the chat box, or even better yet, come off mute, put yourself on video and ask your question live to our guests that'll be speaking today. Remember, these are recorded, and if you're not able to watch the entire thing or have to step away, you can go to Partners YouTube site and check the rest of it out, as well as check out all the other community cafes and other great videos that Partners has posted on our YouTube page. So welcome. Our first speaker today is Dr. Jenny Wright with Contegra. Dr. Wright, if you want to share your screen, that would be wonderful.
Okay, can I go? Okay, good morning, everybody. God bless you. Thank you so much for this opportunity to share about being a whole person. If you notice on our first screen, whole is not connected. So there's some work to do before we can get to the end of this session, this presentation that I'm blessed to do on behalf of Contegra. We had a little bit of conversation about what I do here. I'm actually the physician in residence here. And I've been practicing for 20 years, originally from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I have to mention that because I'm a huge Steelers fan, and I think that is an important part of being a whole person. Okay. I also mentioned something even more important as far as being a whole person, and that is that I'm a pastor. So, we are going to get spiritual. No, I don't have a sermon ready for you all today. We're not going to do any confessions or anything, but just learn a little bit about the importance of being a whole person. How can we get to being a whole person in order to help others be their whole so that we can be as productive as possible in whatever we're called to do? A couple of objectives and disclaimers. First, thank you. There's no formal medical information that's going to be shared. You are not my patients. So if you're going to put a question or a comment in the chat, please know I'm not going to give you a prescription. I'm not going to give you any medical advice. It's not going to happen. The other side of that, there's no financial interest that I know of. I'm not getting paid for this. I'm just glad to be able to do it. And then this moment does require a group effort. So you're going to have to really consider what is being said. The other thing I did not tell you is that I'm a daughter of educators. So my dad was actually a middle school principal. That's what I grew up with. My mother was a preschool teacher, and our whole church was all educators. So we've learned to, when we present, to do more facilitating than presenting. Also, I hope you have a pen, a paper, or some smoke signal equipment, Morse code, recording, whatever you need to write, to take some notes here and consider what is being asked of you, okay? All right, let's get started. So the first question is, who are you? And this is looking at the physical aspect of the whole you. And here is where we dive in a little bit. What are the top 10 words that describe you? The top 10 words that describe you. And I love it that we get to describe ourselves. And you can do external, internal, however you want to do that. Thanks, Marlene. Hey, yay, Steelers, and go Steelers. Love it. I love it, Steeler Nation. Good. We got determined on here. I love that. top 10 words. And how do you feel about you? How do you feel about you? Efficient. Wow, y'all are great. This is a great group. And then on the physical, I guess what we have to get down to is this working? And then if not, what do we have to do to fix it? Now, I know that when you all heard the word physical, you thought I was going to give a health talk, right? And I was going to talk about exercising 3 to 4 times a week, at least 30 minutes, and what you eat, right? Making sure that you look at food as substance instead of as food. Like, okay, today I had a serving of vitamin D. I had a serving of cholesterol. This is how I'm learning to look at my meals. I know it's no fun. I had 5 servings of sugar, not a fun way, but here, before we can even think about those things, how are we considering ourselves? And we're not always bad. It's not always all negative. As a matter of fact, most of us have it together 80 to 85% of what our definition is of ourselves and our goals. And other people are telling us what they think is wrong with us. So it's really important in becoming the whole person that you need to be. Now, be realistic. Don't lie to yourself and say, hey, I'm model-esque, even though we know we got some stuff to work on. Okay. But if you're happy in who you are, be happy in who you are without excuse. All right. All right. And I see some more adjectives coming up. Curious, empathetic, courteous, that might be. That's awesome. Okay, so you have this, and I'm hoping you're writing this down because I know we have a really short amount of time, but I want you to keep developing this throughout the days, throughout the weeks. When you get a moment, pull out your little slip of paper or whatever you're recording on and say, well, how do I feel today? How do I feel about myself today? You know, and give yourself some credit, okay? So that's the first part of wholeness that we are exploring. Oh, you're headed to the gym after the meeting. Go, Janet. Okay. Number 2, the next part that I want us to consider on being a whole person is how are you? We're going to look at the mental, okay, the mental side. And I don't know, let me see if I can, I'm horrible at driving this. Notice each slide has different animals and activities. So here we see the owl, love that picture for the whoo. And then we see the person that's running, right? Okay. And the running, yeah, it could be physical or it could just be life, you know. The other thing is how are you mentally? Notice we have a hyena, which we know is the animal that loves to laugh. And then we have the calm pot of tea here. So, and both of these can be right, right? It has to be what works for you in getting to wholeness. So, one word that describes how you feel right now. Chill. I love it. Energetic. Janet, I need to get your information, your contact information. Relaxed, calm, confident, stressed. Lee, we got that too. We're gonna get through that too. Pumped, attentive. Oh, I love that. And so now the question is this a positive emotion for you? Remember, you're defining this, not me. And is it negative or is it both? You know, a lot of times we look at focus, scattered. I'm going to take scattered. Some of us might say, oh, that's negative. Well, scattered can be negative unless you're using it as a motivator. If you're like, you know what, I'm scattered, I'm realizing that, and now this is what I'm going to do about it, then I think that's good. Busy, same thing. Busy can be positive as long as you have categories, right? Overwhelmed, Lorena, forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. Overwhelmed, as long as it's a motivator, at peace, right? So whatever feeling, whatever emotion you're having, whatever, wherever you are in your mental space, we need to take it and make it a positive for ourselves. I know that when I have those moments where I'm like, okay, when I first started working here and learning how to balance and the pace here, there was a day I said, I'm not just under the water, I'm like under the sand and I am now fossilizing. Okay. That's when you know you're really stressed. And so I had to take a step back, breathe. I do a lot of meditating, I do a lot of prayer and say, okay, how can we fix this? Because I can't be my best for my patients if I cannot be my best for me? And that's the same with you in whatever position you're in. You cannot be your best for whoever you're serving if you cannot be your best for yourself, right? Okay. So, and I love it. Lee is saying her stress is actually negative and positive. Okay. So that's the thing. We always want to make sure that we can categorize those and make sure that we have more positives than negatives. Okay. Use the negative part as a motivator to get to the positive. Okay. All right. All right. What are you? See the chameleon? I love that. Can y'all tell? I love these little animal pictures. Uh, as far as your career, as far as financially, we have the chameleon, and then we have this person who might be doing charts and graphs and glasses and pens. I don't know how many of you have that type of position. I see graphs and I start shuddering a little because that means that, okay, here's a measurement. I got to get it together. So here are the questions concerning your career and where you are financially, what you are financially. What are your top priorities in your life? What are your top priorities in your life? Let's see. Family, friends, happiness. Family, love it. Family's great. Uh-huh. Good. So we have financial stability, health, mental and physical, God's will, faith, focus. I love it. God, family, my family, faith, family, family. Family's definitely a thing, right? Health, financial stability, and housing stability. What I did notice is not on any of these lists do we see ourselves. Where are you on that list of priorities? You've said you care about your family, you care about your health, where you're going to live, your faith. What about you? Put yourself on the list. And we never put ourselves on the list. It's so interesting, especially those of us who serve community in different capacities. So you need to be on your list of priorities. Put you on there. It's okay. As a pastor, sidebar, I'm a Christian pastor. And so, we believe what the word says. You love your neighbor as yourself, not instead of. Okay, so it is okay to love yourself. It's okay to do it. Make sure you put yourself on your priorities. Keeping housing benefits me. Does that count? Yes, Loretta. Yes. If I was in person, I would give you a sticker. I have my little smiley stickers. If you were here, you just earned a sticker. Okay. That is awesome. So making sure that you're on your list of priorities. The other thing is, are you where you need to be financially and in your career? And then how can you get there if you're not there? I love it. The last shall be first. I am on my list. Okay, I'll take it, David. I'll take it. It counts. All right. So how can you get to where you want to be? It's up to you to sit down and say, this is where I am, this is where I want to be, and be realistic. Okay. I don't know how many want to be billionaires and how we would get there. Okay. So let's be realistic when we're talking about things like balance, peace, things that you can't really buy, how do you meet those goals and get to where you want to be in your career and financially? Why are you? There's that dove, there's that peace, and the candles. So the spiritual aspect of the whole you. Why are you? Do you have a spiritual balance as you define it for yourself? I don't know what everyone's belief system is here. I already said this is not going to be a sermon or conversion or recruitment or whatever you want to call. The question is spiritually, are you balanced? What are you thankful for? And what is missing in your life? So, do you have a spiritual balance as you define it for yourself according to your belief system? What are you thankful for? I love it. Krista is grounded. And my Vita, I'm good with God. I might have to make that an acronym. You might hear that coming back. And then what is missing? Do you take time just to meditate and breathe? When I was in divinity school, I did this study and I had a group. It was, part of my capstone project. And we just took 2 minutes and we did deep breathing. And it was amazing how long 2 minutes feels when you're sitting still and just breathing and focused on breathing. But at the end, everybody was just, oh, that felt good. You know, hope deal. I love that, Melisha and Marlene. Thankful that God loves me for who I am. So those are the things that are important, right? In order for us to get to our whole person. And then the when are you? The when are you? And it's WHEN, or it could be WIN because we hit that target, you know, we're swimming through life, just floating around, having a good time. So the when are you is also important for us to measure. And the questions, and these you can do later. I know we're running out of time. Your top 5 goals that have been met and your top 5 goals that you are still striving for. Be in touch with those. It's amazing the energy you can get from just having goals to strive for, right? And the energy that you get when you look at what you've already accomplished. It is awesome. So make sure that you take time to do that as well. So notice on all of the slides, at first, the letters were not filled in, right? It was like this font that was kind of like empty, like, okay, when are you? Why are you? What are you? And then finally we get to whole are you? And that is who you are. When you take all of these things into account, then you end up being the whole person that you are destined to be. For physical, you can't take care of others if you don't take care of yourself. For mental, your mind is your control center, so care for it well. For financial, always know the difference between wants and needs. Keep yourself as a priority. For spiritual, don't neglect the need for balance in life. And for goals, let's get it. I thank you so much for your time, and now I'm open to any questions you may have. Any questions? Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to get back to seeing patients.
Thank you so much, Dr. Wright. I think I could probably listen to you for the next hour and not be lost in having something positive and powerful to say. And I will note that I did my best to keep up, but I had to get 2 new pens to keep taking notes. So I almost ran out, but I love you cannot be your best for whoever you are serving if you cannot be your best for yourself. That is so powerful. And we greatly appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you. And note that Dr. Wright's contact information is in the chat.
Yes. Thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
Thank you very much. Our next speaker today will be Dwayne Burks with Gaston Gateway. And Dwayne, I'm going to turn it over to you to give a better introduction of yourself because nobody can do that better than you.
Okay, wait just a second. Okay, I'm back. How are you, everybody? Good to meet you. I am Dwayne, and I'm from here, live here in Gaston County, have for many years, and run the Gateway and love doing it. Just so you know what the Gateway is, it's a website, gatewaygaston.org. We are completely virtual. We were way before COVID. If you have a need, a human need in this community, any kind, you can enter that request. You answer 3, maybe 4 questions: who you are, what your phone number is, and what zip code you're in, if you happen to be housed. And we will call you back within 90 minutes with a proper connection to the right resource. If you need more than that, we offer case navigation through volunteers. They're not paid navigators, or they're people who get to know you and spend time with you. So that's what we do. In a couple of weeks, you might want to check this site. We are loading to have, right now we operate at 8 to 8, Monday to Sunday to Sunday, 24/7, 365, or 365 rather. But in a couple of weeks, we're going to have a chat bot on our site. People will get instantaneous answers if they ask the basic questions. If they need a person, they hit the button, and within 90 minutes, we're right back to them. So that'll give us 24/7 service. So we're pretty excited about that. So I'll put the Gateway address in my email and everything in the chat box. I was asked to take just a couple minutes and talk about the theme today. And as I thought about it, I thought about people ask me often, they say, Dwayne, you are the busiest person I know. And I don't feel that way. I just don't. Yes, I operate the Gateway. I'm thankful to have that opportunity. Yes, I have a role at First Baptist Church and on the pastoral team there. I'm excited to do that. I get to be an educator with part of what I do, teach a lot of leadership, equity, and inclusion, those kinds of things. I'm a spouse, I'm a parent, I'm a grandparent. That's the best part. Hit your chat box or wave your hand if you're a grandparent, because that's the best job in the world. But I love what I do. And I tell people often that I feel like I am good busy instead of bad busy. I've been bad busy, and it's nuts. It is nuts. It's no way to live. It'll just wear you out. And in 2002, after I was downsized in a corporate layoff, our family moved to England. We spent some time there, did some intentional humanitarian and faith-based work there. And what happened with 4 children and my wife and me, we stopped everything because we were leaving the country. Piano lessons, dance, baseball, everything. And when we returned, we only put back what we felt had value. And that made a huge difference. So I had to learn some things as I was putting those back. I'm going to share one of those with you at the end. The other thing I learned was this, and I'm still learning it. I took a group one time because I was struggling. I was just struggling with being so busy and so stressed to those around me, stressful on those around me. And every day at group, we would go in twice a week. Nancy, who ran the group, would ask, how do you feel physically? How do you feel emotionally? And how do you feel spiritually? That was an earth-shattering thing for me. I had never been able to separate the three. And I realized that physically, I can be tired. Emotionally, I can be stressed. But spiritually, I can be centered, as it were. I happen to be in the Christian faith. I believe that my spiritual life is settled in my relationship with Christ. And that is God's to do in my faith tradition. And I can be okay in other areas or not okay in other areas, but not askew spiritually. That was a big statement for me to learn that. So physically, that's my body. Emotional, that's my mind, my will, my emotions. That's how I think, feel, and decide. Feeler, thinker, chooser. And then spiritually, that's my relationship, in my case, with God. And man, I'm thankful for that. It made a big difference. And the other lesson I had to learn as I came back to remain good busy and not let myself get too far afield is no is a complete sentence. No is a complete sentence. And I had to do that this morning. Somebody wanted something, it wasn't within the bandwidth, and I had to say no. Didn't like it, but in that case, I was able to say no. And they came back and said, well, what if we reschedule? I said, that's perfect. That will work. So they sort of solved their own challenge. So I've written about this. I have a book coming out in about a month called Stop Networking Now and Start Connecting for the Common Good. In fact, I have a galley copy of it here. It's not ready to print yet. We'll have that in a couple of weeks and it'll be available. So if you're interested and want to know more about that, that'll be on Amazon, or I'll put my contact information there. But if I can help any of you as you do your work, let me know. That's what I'm here for. I think my superpower is connecting people that didn't realize they could be connected. Just yesterday, I'm proud of this. I'm so thankful about it because I didn't do it. I just happened to be the middleman. But we got an intern. We have 8 interns this semester at the Gateway, and one of them is Muslim. And we were talking about what he wanted to do, what his goals were. He was having trouble finding an internship. So he is interning, and part of his internship is he's going to work at St. Mark's Episcopal, a Christian church. We're going to share his services for 10 hours a week for the next semester. So that ecumenical connection for me is really something that I'm happy about, that I don't know would have happened in our community not too many years ago. So those are the kind of things I love to do, connecting unlikely people. So remember, you can be tired physically, frustrated emotionally, spiritually you can be on track. And if somebody asks you a question and you don't have to say anything but no, it's a complete sentence. Don't be afraid to do it. Thanks, everybody. Thanks.
Thank you so much, Dwayne. Do we have any questions for Dwayne while he's here? All right, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat box, or like we said earlier, come off mute, turn your camera on and ask the question. We really appreciate your input in it, and making these interactive is very important. I love no is a complete sentence, Dwayne. And I think Melisha put in there, she's gonna use that herself, but sometimes that needs to be said. And same, I think you also have to apply that to yourself. Sometimes you have to say no to yourself. So thank you so much. Sometimes things happen, and today one of our speakers was unable to make it, unfortunately. And luckily, Jeannie Patterson has volunteered on very short notice to step in and speak today as well about resilience. So Jeannie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you, Jerry. First of all, I want to thank you, Dwayne, and thank you for the work that you do in Gaston County. That's local to me, so I get to see some of the work that you do. Also, notice that Dwayne's contact information is in the chat if you want to reach out to him about further. And I love no as a complete sentence too, although I'm really glad that you didn't say that to me when I asked you to participate today. So thanks for being here. So also want to mention, and let me put this in the chat too. I think I've got it pulled up to do this. Also, in case we forget to say this later, the part you can access if you want to know more about just health in general. Partners has a health library. I didn't say it. It's in the link. It's in the chat now. If you just follow that link, and there are a lot of recordings and different things that you can learn more about subjects regarding health. Also, just want to mention as I pull up my PowerPoint that we do offer trainings every month that are virtual. They're free, and I'll just go ahead and send everybody who is on the meeting today. I'll send you links to register for all the September trainings. I'm going to do the highlights of one of those trainings. If you want to know, if you like what you see today and want to know more, please come back when we do we do a 2-hour training of this. But we talk about resiliency a lot. We talk about trauma a lot in a lot of our trainings, and it's always nice when we can talk about resiliency as well. But this is the community resiliency model, which we call CRIM for short. And it's a training that I love to do. I just love this model because it's very positive. Just give you a moment, if you will, to look at this. I won't read this to you, but they do ask the Trauma Resource Institute that created the community resiliency model does ask that we share this information, that it's educational, it's not any kind of therapy or anything like that. I'll move on from that. So it starts off by thinking about what brings you peace or joy or makes you feel calm. Another way we think about that is who or what uplifts you. So I invite you to think about that. If you want to put it in the chat or just shout it out, that'd be great. But what is it that brings you peace or calm or joy in your life throughout your day? And this would be something we'll be thinking about as we talk more about community resiliency model. By the way, Jerry, I don't.
Music.
Awesome. Are you a musician, Lorena?
No, but listening to it helps me
Awesome.
to calm down.
Absolutely. That's great. Thanks for sharing. Anyone else want to share anything what brings you peace or joy? I'm seeing in the chat. Skittles the dog. Awesome. Our furry family are so important to us, isn't it? Time at the beach, listening to the ocean, nature outside. There's so much about nature, isn't there, and I got to see nature and the cat and the lake. Well, people are thinking, Jerry, if you will be my timekeeper, because when I started sharing, I lost my clock on my computer. Make sure I don't go over too long. Any time with family. Here we ask her back. Family is so important, isn't it? family, classical music, mountains, ocean, my animals. I hope I don't miss anybody as I come in. Keep those things in mind. And I would invite you maybe to think about, as you sing those things that bring you peace and joy, think about what sensations you notice in your body when you think about listening to music or being by the lake or being with your furry family. Do you notice any sensations that you're experiencing in your body? Do you feel maybe your muscles relax a little, or you take a deep breath, or maybe a smile comes across your face, something like that? This is the community resiliency model, as I've said, which was created by Dr. Elaine Miller Karras from the Trauma Resource Institute. So one of some of the good things about the CRIM skills, the community resiliency model skills, it is wellness skills, and it can be done in a variety of backgrounds. It can be done across the lifespan. You don't have to be able to read to do it. You can teach it to very young children. Also, people who are elderly can learn it. I think the last we heard, the oldest person that we know who uses the skills is 103 or 104, something like that. It translates across cultures. One of the things that Elaine and her team does is travel around the world teaching these skills. They go to places where there have been catastrophes like tsunamis or hurricanes. Actually, they were on the coast of North Carolina after one hurricane. But they teach the people who are the helpers. They teach them these skills so they can share them with others who have experienced really traumatic things happening to them. And it's certainly available for different people with different abilities as well. This is an app that tells you more about it. It's called iChill. It's free, and you can actually hear Elaine's voice talking through the skills and a little bit about about resiliency and wellness. So I think we talked about this already. So again, as you think about that, who or what uplifts you, what or who gives you strength, what or who helps you get through hard times. And as we think about things we've all experienced, if it's whether it's just a stressful morning or having some really tragic or traumatic thing happen to us, what helps us get through those things? And then, as always, thinking about what do you notice in your body when you think about your answers to those questions. So let's talk about resiliency. So I invite you to put in the chat or shout it out, whichever. What's your definition of resiliency as individuals, and also your definition of resiliency for community or community resiliency? Bouncing back after a negative experience, absolutely. Anybody else have anything to add to that? Never give up that can-do attitude. I like that. Being able to survive conflicts, sure. Oh, there's my contact information. Thank you, Amani. So then think about, of course, how those things for us personally, and being resilient when things happen to us, but also thinking about the community and how maybe, I think Marlene's hit on it, using resources, supports, and training in hard times for whatever the issue. So a lot of these do translate to things that we can do as a community, and how we can make our whole community more resilient. Just another way of thinking about this is actually the Trauma Resource Institute's definition of resiliency. So it's all about well-being. So this really perfectly fits in with our theme today that we talked about wellness and being that whole person, and and practicing self-care includes having optimism, being hopeful in the present, and even as we think about our resilient presence, but also think about in our past times that we've been resilient and perhaps have grown on some of those things. We acknowledge that we do all suffer as individuals and suffer collectively, and being aware of that and acknowledging that and knowing how we can grow from that. acknowledging our individual and collective strengths as well, having compassion, having empathy, and really being solution focused, being flexible, and being adaptable. Anybody have anything they would want to add to any of that, or any thoughts about any of that? And move on then. If you're putting something in the chat, please do, and we'll stop. But with this community resiliency model, really it involves a perspective shift. So if you've been around a while, like some of us may have, we may remember the time when we had sort of conventional thinking about people, and we thought, when we saw somebody's behavior, we thought this is bad behavior, perhaps they need punishment. And the question we would ask then is, what is wrong with you? And then happily we became trauma informed, which is more of an awareness, and we realized people are suffering, people have suffered, and we need to learn how trauma impacts all of us and all of our lives. And at that point, the question then became, what happened to you? Well, now as we think about being resiliency informed, we're ready for action. We know that we are resilient, we can bounce back. We may just need to learn some of the skills of well-being. And now we come back to the question that I love, which is, what is right about you? What are your strengths? And how we can use those strengths going forward. When we think about traumatic things happening, I'm not going to read this to you, but we know that trauma may impact our thinking, it might impact our emotions, it might impact us physically or spiritually, might impact our behaviors and our relationships. So there are a lot of things we may need to bounce back, or from which we need to bounce back. I'm looking for, oh, okay. Thanks, Terry. There's got more information in the chat for you. So one thing about CRIM is that we have what they call the resilient zone. And that's this place where we can be, hopefully most times, most days, where we have things happen to us. We may be a little bit frustrated about something, or a little bit happy or sad, or maybe even a little bit angry at times, but we can stay in this zone where we can manage our responses, and we're just kind of in control of what we're experiencing. And often we're talking about children, we might call it, for all of us, we might call that the okay zone. I can handle the things that are coming at me today. But then sometimes something stressful happens to us. Whoops, went too far. And sorry, I'll let it do its thing. So that's where we can stay. And we might have ups and downs through the day, but we can stay in our resilient zone. But then something stressful or traumatic happens to us. Maybe it's a trauma reminder. And then we may get bumped out of our zones. And if we feel ourselves feeling edgy, irritable, maybe anxious, maybe angry, we call that being stuck in the high zone. Some of us sometimes may respond to things by feeling depressed or sad or just exhausted, maybe feeling numb. And we call that being stuck in the low zone. And so what we want to do, we want to make our resilient zone grow wider, so we're able to manage a wider range of different things that happen throughout our days. We'll stop and see what the chat says. Thanks, Marlene. Oh, okay, Lorena, I hope we can maybe help you do some things to get out of that high zone. But yeah, we do. We all from time to time get there. Actually, I was there yesterday, as a matter of fact, having some issues with my computer. But we can learn some skills. These are the 6 wellness skills, and of course, we won't have time to talk. Only speak very briefly about them. Tracking is central. So tracking is really where we learn to pay attention to the sensations in our bodies. And notice, for all of us who are in behavioral health, I'm not saying feelings. In this sense, feelings are emotions: angry, sad, happy. We're talking about sensations. So feeling that muscle tension, or feeling that maybe fluttery and things in our stomach, or things like that. But in order to be doing the resilient skills, we have to be tracking and just paying attention to what our body is telling us. So this is what's called Help Now. And it is things we can do very quick. And it's help now, so we can reset where we are. So these are things that are really you can just say to someone in conversation, perhaps, really very natural. The point, of course, is to take the focus off whatever it is that is stressing me or is causing me to be bumped out of my zone right now, by changing the script a little bit. So it might be saying to someone, would you like something to drink? Yeah, let me get you some water, get you some tea or juice or whatever. And just think about that when we are upset and maybe our heart's racing and we're feeling, everything's elevated, and maybe feeling warm, or, really warmer than usual. Think about when we take those sips of whatever the drink is, and think about how our breathing is going to slow down. Our heart rate is going to come down. So just having those sips, we can even pay attention to if it's, for example, if it's water, the coolness of the water, or just be aware of what it is as it's going down our throats, perhaps. So that's one thing we can do very quickly. Maybe it's stop and just listen to what you hear, whether you're inside or whether you're outside. What are the sounds that you hear right now? Just focus on that for a moment. Maybe it's counting. And of course, this can be very age appropriate. So you can say, can you count to 5 if it's a very young person? Or you can say, can you count backwards from 20? Make it, whatever's appropriate. But again, as you see, it's all about getting the focus off that thing that is upsetting us. Another good one is go for a walk. Let's go for a walk and pay attention to our feet as they're making contact with the floor or with the ground, wherever we're walking. Maybe it's naming colors. Look around where you are, whether you're inside or out. What colors do you see as you look around? Notice the temperature inside or out, wherever you are. Pay attention to that temperature right now. Maybe it's touching something. So if you're sitting at your desk like I am, I can touch my desk and feel the smooth surface of my desk. You're outdoors, maybe it's a tree or a wall or even the grass. Just pay attention and notice what it feels like and focus on what it feels like. The next one I really love for angry adolescents in particular, and that is push as hard as you can with your hands, push against a wall and pay attention to the muscle tension in your arms, maybe even in your back and in your legs, and just focus on that. And like I said, I really love that, particularly for people, for any of us who are angry, perhaps. And then the last one is just notice your surroundings. Wherever you are, take a moment and just look around at what you see that's around you. I think often we don't pay attention to what's going on around us. Marlene, yeah, I like that feeling, that cool breeze blow, absolutely. So those are called what we call help now. I mentioned tracking already, a little bit about tracking. So we want to learn to be able to tell the differences in those sensations of distress and well-being. So again, noticing maybe that fluttery stomach, or feeling like our heart is heavy, or noticing muscle tension, or noticing that our face is hot maybe, and pay attention to that. And then we have the choice to pay attention to that thing that's negative, perhaps, that's unpleasant sensation, or we can focus our sensation, our attention rather, on something that is more positive or pleasant or neutral, and not focus on that thing that sensation that is a sensation of distress, perhaps. Sorry. So again, you might notice that whether it's tension and heat, if you're feeling angry, and then what can I do to maybe it's take a stop and take a breath, or again, look around the room, or count backwards, whatever. Maybe it's take that sip of water to help us to get to, and focus on those sensations that are more pleasant. These are some sensation words. I mentioned maybe having the feeling that your heart is heavy. Maybe you're noticing the muscle tension, those kinds of things. These are just sensation words that we might use when we're thinking about noticing and tracking our sensations. Then the next skill is resourcing. So I got to have some privilege on this slide because on the far left, you see the light of my life, which is my grandson. He's now 19 months old, and in about another month, he's going to be a big brother. So I'm looking forward to having a second grandchild. But for me, he is a resource. So resources can be a person, definitely. It can be a place. It can be a thing, a memory. It can be maybe something internally that you have that makes you feel calm, pleasant. Maybe it's knowing I have strength to get through hard times, or I can be resilient. As I said, it can be real. It can be imagined, internal, external. These are all these images here are pictures of. There are 3 of us who train on this training community resiliency model. And these are all images of some of the things that are resources for us. So the idea is maybe feel yourself being stressed out and bumped out of your zone, and think about this resource and think about how it brings you joy or peace. We can use what we call conversational resourcing. So we see someone who's in crisis, they're really upset about something. And so maybe we can ask some open-ended questions. Can you tell me about when the moment when help arrived, or who or what is helping you right now? Or how did you feel the moment you knew you were going to be okay? After a loss, you might be asking someone that has experienced a loss. So tell me about some memories you have, some things that you remember about that person, or that whatever the loss is, doesn't have to be a person. What did you like to do together? And if they were here, what would they say to you now? Let's skip that one. It brings us to this last skill, and I'm almost done. Am I doing on time? Good. And that's just grounding. And that's just where we are focusing on what is supporting us in the present moment. Chat. So, absolutely. Lorena says writing a list of things I'm grateful for helps to ground. Absolutely. Yes. So, Elaine says that you can ground in lots of different positions. You can, again, walking and paying attention to your steps, noticing your contact of your feet with the whatever the surface is. You can do it by standing against the wall. And this is not the same thing as pushing against the wall that I mentioned earlier, but just standing and paying attention to the wall as it's supporting your back, and noticing that. You can certainly do it sitting down with a chair or sofa, on the ground, wherever. You can do it with your hands, maybe just touching the surface again and grounding yourself there. Elaine says that places where there is a lot of water, people tell her they can ground as they're floating in the water. We can also ground lying down. Of course, if it's someone with a traumatic past, we would not want to do that. We would not suggest that anyone lie down, because that could possibly cause some kind of trauma reminder. But people can be in any kind of position as they ground. So I'm going to stop there and stop sharing, because we're soon being out of time. But just invite you to think about that. I will send all of you who are on today, I'll send you a list of all the trainings for September. So if you want to know more about CRIM, you can come get the full CRIM, because I just gave you a very quick abbreviated version. Just want to remind you again that I think it's in here somewhere, the link to the, Jerry put in the link to the event calendar, which has the trainings on it as well. And also remind you of the, I'm trying to find it, the health library. There's a link to the Partners Health Library in the chat as well. Anybody have any comments or questions?
Thank you, Jeannie. We open it up for you if you have any questions, and really prefer if you come off mute and turn your cameras on if you've got any question or comments. It really helps us with doing these in the future.
Hey, Jerry, can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
This will be the probably second or third CRIM training that I've been in. And I'm going to be honest with you, each time there's something new that I can learn. And today, not even knowing exactly which direction the conversation was going to go, I feel better because today's session was specifically for me. Some things that I just forgot that I probably need to pay attention to, which has helped me to feel confident. That's why I said I'm confident, because I had to pay attention to those. So I appreciate that. But it also let me know if I do that, then I have staff and I have parents who likely that happens to too, which is human. So just wanted to say that. And thank you. Today was great.
Thank you, Marlene. And I think that just reiterates, Jeannie mentioned we do these trainings and have them on Zoom. But we also, if you have a group that it's in best interest to come and be in person, face to face, then we can also mobilize that for your staff. As Jeannie mentioned, we can make it work for youth. So please take advantage of these trainings that we offer. They're designed for the community, and it's you, those you support, those you serve, your colleagues. All of those are appropriate for these trainings, and the link is in there. Jeannie, I saw you come off mute.
I was just going to mention that you can certainly reach out to me, but also the general training email is CE training@partners. But either way, we'll get it. Yeah, we'll get it to you. But
So-
I'm so happy to hear, Marlene, especially to hear that you've heard crim, that you've gone through crim before. And well, I think we all can learn every time I can be reminded as many times as I've taught it, I can be reminded of a skill or just a different aspect that I hadn't thought about. So thank you for that.
So thank you all, and to our three wonderful speakers, Dr. Jenny Wright, Dwayne Burke, and Jeannie Patterson. I think it was a great cafe today, and we hope you take a look at the ones we've got posted online. And for the future, I'm going to turn it over to Krista Moore for some more information.
Yes, thank you, Jerry. And thank you everyone for attending today on Celebrate Wellness. Our next community cafe will be centered on recovery. We have some great speakers lined up for that, and that will be September 25th at 10 a.m. We look forward to seeing everyone then. Thank you.
Also notice in the chat, Monty has put where you can access recordings of other community cafes before today.
Have a great rest of the week, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.